Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag HowiGotCustody. Um, I gotta keep saying and stressing that everything starts with the law. There's so many people who are ignoring the law or watch my videos and then tell me they make up some fantasy about some rights the mother has or somebody else has that aren't in the law. And some of you guys, you don't even look at the law or you haven't looked at the law yet. And I talk about the law all the time. I have four bubbles up. If you go up to the top of my Instagram page and there's those highlights, those round bubbles, there's a thing that talks about the basic four things that everybody should know. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. The law, the rules, case law, and forms. And uh, the law is one of them. The courts don't have a right to do anything in your life unless there's a law that allows them to. They can't take child support from you unless there's a law that allows it. They can't throw you in jail unless there's a law that says you can't spit on somebody or spit on the sidewalk or trespass or jaywalk. If there's no jaywalking laws and you cross the street and the cop throws you in jail, there's nothing for them to keep you because there is no law. So, that being said, everything starts with the law, but most of you people out there are ignoring the law, even though I talk about it all the time. Like, people want to send comments or DMs and talk about everything else except the law. Everything starts with the law. Most laws say the best interest of the child. And then people will argue with me why, the courts have a presumption or the mother has the rights or the mother has custody and all this other stuff. And it says that nowhere in the law. And some states actually say, like California, I think Florida specifically say, there is no decision based on gender in here, or there's no gender bias, or there's no in the law. Now, the judges will have that, but guess whose issue it is and whose job it is to argue the law in your favor? It's your job or your lawyer's job if you're dumb enough to keep a lawyer and keep paying somebody thousands of dollars to do something you could do yourself. I mean, if you know how to change your own oil, would you go to a Jiffy Lube down the street and pay $120 for it? Or would you just go buy the oil and do it yourself and spend it 30? I mean, if you got money to burn and you just don't have time, you don't feel like it, yeah. But a lot of people who are living paycheck to paycheck, stuff that costs hundreds of dollars they could fix themselves, they fix it themselves. So the law says the best interest of the child. There's no law out there that says the mother has custody, except the only thing I know is in Georgia, the mother's presumed to have custody when there's no court order. So when you go to court to fight on who should have custody, there's just a presumption before you go to court that the mother has custody. So when you go to court, you could go for full custody because it doesn't say the mother always has custody. This is why you guys, like, so many people don't listen to what I'm saying. And it's to your own detriment. This is what's frustrating. This is your case. This is your life with your kids. My case is over with. My kid's 20. I've already went through it. I'm sharing information to help you. And there's so many people who say they watched a video tour of mine and they never watch a video again, and they pay a lawyer $300-400 an hour to tell them nothing and keep them in the dark and not do anything for them. And I say over and over in all my videos, go look at the law. Go Google, if you're in Missouri, best interest of child, factors, parenting plan. And you'll see what the law says the court has to consider. If the court has to consider that which parent facilitates the other parent's relationship or which parent exercises good judgment, well, guess what? If the other parent's withholding the child, guess what I would argue? I don't know about you, but I would say this parent is not exercising good judgment. This parent is destroying the father-child relationship. This parent is putting the child in an at-risk category because we know all the data out there says if you don't have a father, and I say this over and over, and nobody ever gets it. I guess a few people get it. But people I talk to who DM me, who do consultations or whatever, even if they saw this stuff, they don't get that it starts with the law. Like, people will tell me, well, the law says, or the courts are like, or, and I guess to get to the point of this video, everybody keeps talking about, well, what will the judge think if I argue that? If you're arguing the law, the judge has to honor what you're arguing. What you're doing is being paranoid about, here's the biggest thing you need to get over. You need to get over this, and you need to grow up and act like a grown-up and an adult and stop being a little kid. You need to grow up and think hard about what I'm saying right here. People keep saying, well, if I go in there and aggressively, I go for full custody, that'll piss the judge off. Or my lawyer says you're going to lose, so don't try it or whatever. That doesn't have anything to... If the law says the best interest of the child is what we go off of, and you think you're the best parent for custody, then that's what the best interest is. Go argue it. Why do people argue with me about that stuff? It's very simple. You have to be insane to not get this. Or you have to be brainwashed, or you have PTSD from what you're going through, or you just are so scared your fear has overcome you and got you paranoid. It's very simple. If the law says the court has to do what's in the best interest of the child, and you say, I'm a better parent, I don't do drama, I don't put the child in the middle of a tug of war, I respect the other parents, the child's need for both parents. The other parent doesn't do that. Boom. Do you understand the word good, better, and best? So what's better? A parent who's toxic and who withholds a child or doesn't respect your parenting, or your loving home where you honor both parents and you'll make good, sound decisions? This is basic third grade math, folks. This isn't complicated. Only you complicate it because you look at the plain language of the law and then you're like, oh, I'm scared. It's a woman's state. And I heard my lawyer said that somebody, and then my uncle's brother's cousin said that somebody said, and that I need to worry about what the judge thinks if I try and go in there and I call the mother out for her mental illness and her crack, abuse and her suicidal tendencies. And she threatened to kill us and she stabbed the kid one time. If I say that to the court, that'll make me look bad. That's like saying a prosecutor who's prosecuting a pedophile will look bad if he says this guy is a heinous abuser of children. You think a prosecutor holds back when they go to court? So what you're worried about is what other people think. The law says the court needs to do what's best for a child. If you know you're the better parent, go argue butt off and prove it to them. Stop waiting on everybody else to be your little mommy and they're going to go investigate the case for you and the judge is going to hop off the bench and come to your house and hang out with you and watch you with the kid and they're going to conclude everything for you. It's your job to go to court and prove your case. Prosecutors have to do that. If whoever sued Microsoft had to prove Bill Gates was engaging in antitrust violations, even if you're on the side of truth, you still have to go to court and fight and prove your case. If you slip and fell at a grocery store or a Fred Meyer or a Safeway or a Johnny's or whatever, you still have to prove it's their fault. You don't automatically win. That's not how this world works. There's no automatic justice. You have to go and prove and go through the process to do it. Watch Judge Judy. Watch the small claims court case TV shows. They have to argue and present paperwork and proof and receipts and all that other stuff. One person's right, one person's wrong. They still have to prove it. You guys act like you want this to be a cakewalk. Or if you have to go in there and do something like, prove that the other side's crazy or whatever, you're afraid to do that. Even though under the law, if the person has mental illness or the person is on drugs or the person is violent or abusive, the person lives with an abusive person, like the mom has a boyfriend who has a sex offense or a DV assault against a previous girlfriend, you're scared to bring that up even though it's a winning point in your case. How insane is that? This stuff is starting to get insane because I keep getting people, I say, look at the law and read the law. I've had people where I've read the law word for word to them and they say, but there's a presumption the mother gets custody. I was like, where is that? I just read the entire law to you and it doesn't say that. What are you listening to? They're totally ignoring what I'm telling them. And it's not me that's the source of it. I'm quoting what the law says in their own state. And they still want to argue with me. They still want to bow down to mommy radical feminism and to their slave master. You have a slave mentality and you need to get out of it. Your life with your kid is at stake. And you're worried about what somebody thinks or what the judge thinks or whatever. Stop doing that stupid asinine stuff. The law says the best interest of the child. The law says whichever parent can honor the other parent's relationship. Which parent can facilitate it. Whoever has emotional or mental health issues should not be the custodial parent. You know the mother's crazy, or if you're a mother dealing with a crazy baby's dad, you know they're crazy. Go argue that and prove it in court. It's that simple. Now, it's not easy winning the judge over, But this is simple. You're making it complicated. You're almost like looking for a reason to not try and be aggressive and go in there and do this stuff. Oh, well, the judge will think this and that, so I'll just sit down and do nothing and lose the case. If that's your mentality, just quit on your case. If you're looking for answers on how to succeed and how to win, the law tells you who gets what. Now, there's a lot of leeway and latitude for a judge. They can say, I believe you, I don't believe them. I believe her, I don't believe him. And prejudicial judges will do stuff wrongly, but it still starts with the law. If the judge says, oh, how dare you? Like I had a guy who went in and he was arguing some stuff and the judge interjected his own expert testimony and his psychological testimony about the psychological situation of the child. There's no psychologist on the case. It's totally inadmissible. So the dad's going to do a reconsideration. He's going to attack the judge violating the rules of evidence. It's really kind of like if you're on a football team and you're up by 2 touchdowns and you're still going for another touchdown. Well, what's everybody going to think? We're running up the score. You're trying to win the game. Or what are the refs going to think? We're being too aggressive, or they might call a foul on us. How stupid is that to be paranoid or something like that? That's just because the rules say when you have the ball, you can try and score. Well, the rules in family court in most states say whatever's in the best interest of the child. If the other parent is crazy, the other parent lives with a violent boyfriend or whatever. If those are the cases, go argue it and go for it, because that's what the law says. If some stupid judge is standing in the way of justice, call them out on it. Now look at how stupid this is when somebody says, I'm worried about what the judge will think if I argue the law and the facts of my case and I argue a winning argument. I'm totally worried about what they think. Are you that paranoid? Were you just worried about going out and doing something because you might lose? Don't go outside ever again then. Don't ever engage in life. Don't go get in the business world. You might lose that sales pitch. You might, if you're a delivery driver, you might lose a load that's not tied down that well on a pallet. So you might as well quit your job because you potentially could, have an accident or not stack stuff properly in your truck bed. Who walks around with that kind of paranoia? Only men in family court. So here's what you're saying. I'm worried about the judge because I heard there's some law out there that says the mother has custody. First of all, you're lying. You're making up your own law. Go read the law. Stop making up your own paranoia in your own head and making an emotional decision when you don't even look at the law. This is step 1. Go look at the law and read the law and read every word if you actually care about your kid. But if you're a lazy coward and a simp and you don't care, then you're not going to, you're going to do stuff like go pay, like the guy I just posted about. You're going to go pay $300 an hour to have Judge Anthony talk to you, and hopefully he'll give you some miracle answer because he's a judge and he charges $300 an hour. James charges 1/5 of that. So I'm not going to talk to James. Let me go talk to this smart guy because he has the title judge. And I'm not going to go look at the law. I'll just see what he says. Like, you don't look at the law, you don't look at case law, you don't look at the rules. You just want somebody to feed you some quickie answer. So that's lazy. But as far as the fear goes, what lawyer would say, I'm not going to argue for the rights of this black person in Mississippi because I know what the Constitution says, but the system is biased, so I'm not going to fight for him. Or, in Aaron Brockovich, okay, here's a corporation with billions of dollars at its disposal. We'll probably get our butt kicked. She won, because of her work in that case. Those families won millions and millions of dollars from that company that was dumping chemicals and causing cancer in an entire community. Because she wouldn't quit. She argued because she knew it was right. It didn't matter that the system was biased or leaned toward big corporations, or that the system's racist, or that the system is chauvinistic or misandrous. The system is in the way of justice if that's the case. Go argue justice. Do you think Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Gandhi or somebody said, you know what? The system is so biased against the people I'm fighting for. Let's not fight because we're going to hurt somebody's feelings. Who in the world caters to a bigot or an ignorant idiot? Like you're saying, I don't care what the law says. I'm worried what an ignorant, biased, prejudicial judge thinks, and I'm going to cater my entire case toward their ignorance. How stupid does that sound? That's really the point I'm trying to get to. People are saying, well, what about what the judge thinks? Who cares what the judge thinks? The judge is supposed to follow the law. Go read the law and argue the law in your favor. Well, I'm worried about a radical feminist man-hating judge who's totally bigoted and biased and abuses her power. I want to cater everything toward her. That's asinine. Go to the law, read every word and absorb it and argue it. End of story.